The 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence rolled by, I thought for the longest time on what to do. It wasn't until this past weekend that I thought I could make a hit video on Hibbing and its celebrations. I was partially inspired by a friend who thought it was crazy that Hibbing had been around longer than half of America's age. I myself thought that it was a cool fact, and with the Hibbing newspapers being uploaded online just a couple weeks ago, I thought I could give a narrative on just how Hibbing celebrated their 4th of July 125 years ago. But not just that, but also other celebrations, as well as the other 4th of July parades, winter frolics, and city founding anniversaries. However, no pictures were taken of this 1901 parade, but accounts were made, and the pictures seen are from other events relating to Hibbing. To begin, the date was July 4th, 1901, the 7th celebration Hibbing had, each one better than the last. Earlier, a committee was formed to help plan the day under the presidentship of Walter J. Power and his board. It was decided that Dennis Haley should be the president parade marshal. It had previously rained a little the prior year, and for the next 5 years, rain was in the forecast, with the 1903 parade being canceled entirely, instead being moved into August. However, the rain that was forecasted passed early on, leading to no rain in 1901, but rather a colder breeze. And with that, the parade formed shortly after, fronted by the Lake Superior Band playing strains of Yankee Doodle. The band had been recently formed in 1897 under the direction of Gus Jarvie, but in 1901 they hired Victor Taplas to direct the band. Before this, Taplas had been in Russia playing for the Imperial Band under the Tsars of Russia. In the parade were school children from the schools, the many local societies, with the Scandian Society having the most in line and making the best appearance, and the many floats, with cigar manufacturer Alfred A. French winning $10 for the best float. His float was of a man depicted as an old Native American smoking a large peace pipe. The parade ended at the Fire Hall building after marching through the principal streets, adorned with evergreen trees and tri-colored bunting, where they had constructed a grandstand for the occasion. At the grandstand, the Declaration of Independence was read by Judge Brady. Then M. H. Smallwood of Duluth gave an orientation about the 4th before the band played once more. After that, lunch was provided and the next half of the festivities started. The last half of the celebrations were filled with games such as sack races, normal foot races, and silly games such as Cornish wrestling and Fat Men wrestling, and awards were given. The last part of the event was the fireworks given at the end of Pine Street and a ball that was organized by the Hibbing Fire Department to show off their new uniforms. From there, these parades would get bigger and better than ever. Even after the move in 1919, from the 20s to the 40s, all the way up until today. Today, this parade is now commonly known as the Jubilee Parade, which is the following week after the Side Lake 4th of July Parade. However, the 4th isn't the only celebration that Hibbing has done. In 1903, the 4th of July was canceled due to the weather, and so they moved their efforts towards another event, their 10th anniversary, in which they celebrated for 3 days, doing activities such as learning about the history, having tours, and of course having parades, and everything associated with it, such as readings, dances, games, music from the band, vaudevilles in the Power Theater, and the Cash Carnival Company, bringing in animals and games, providing entertainment for that first half of the celebration. All, of course, could be a video of its own entirely. Of course, these celebrations would continue on. In 1943, Hibbing had turned 50 years old, but because of the war, it wasn't celebrated until 1946, during which they celebrated during the 4th of July, with their celebration being from June 30th to July 4th, ending with fireworks in front of the grandstands at the old St. Louis County Fairgrounds. It was also in that celebration where the first term Jubilee was used. In 1968, when Hibbing was turning 75, they would also use that term Jubilee Days, and in 1993, they celebrated their centennial. To keep Hibbing interesting year-round, the city also celebrated during the winter, having a parade named the Winter Frolic, which was first celebrated in February of 1921, lasting 3 days, with the Hibbing Tribune Club being winning the award for the best marching unit. It even survived the transition to South Hibbing, lasting all the way up until 2022. However, another more recent parade, first celebrated in 1987 organized by the Hibbing Student Council, is the Spirit of Unity Parade, which is in November. The most recent one dedicating the lighting of the Android Hotel sign after years of inactivity. However, as time goes on, some events just don't stick. Most notably, Hibbing early on hosted some parades, most notably the Memorial Day parades. This one is of the parade on May 30th, 1915, given the fact that on the right side of the picture, there is the sign Birth of a Nation, which came out in 1915. This parade really focused on the 50th anniversary of the Civil War ending, but that isn't the only thing that they focused on. They also focused on the histories and the recognitions of the soldiers that fought in every American war, from the American Revolution all the way up until the Spanish-American War, as World War I hadn't happened yet. Here is another picture of another Memorial Day parade, but of the following year, right outside the Adams Hospital at the 800 block of North Hibbing. The other parade that they would have celebrated would have been the Labor Day parade. This parade is of a carpenters union, and they're stationed right outside of the Rajaleski block on Pine Street in North Hibbing. That basically sums up the whole video. And I would love to give a shout out to the Hibbing Historical Society, the Hibbing Trivia and Lore Facebook group, the Minnesota Digital Library, the Minnesota Historical Society News Hub, and of course, viewers like you. Thank you.